Busang Collen Kebinatshipi, 22 years old, world champion. Unbeaten in the Diamond League all season, he walked into Hayward Field with that record on the line. Waiting for him was Rai Benjamin, the Olympic hurdles champion, testing himself on the flat track. Only one man would leave Eugene still unbeaten. July 4, 2026, Hayward Field, Oregon. Busang Collen Kebinatshipi walked into the 2026 Prefontaine Classic with a perfect record. The 22-year-old from Botswana had won every Diamond League 400-meter race he had entered that year, and each time he had run faster than the last. Kebinatshipi was born on February 13, 2004 in Botswana. He is the reigning world champion in the 400 meters, a title he won at the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo in September of 2025, running 43.53 seconds. A national record. That result made him the first man from Botswana to ever win an individual world title. Days later in Tokyo, he anchored Botswana's 4x400-meter relay team to gold, running a blistering final leg to hold off the United States and South Africa by the barest of margins. It was Botswana's first ever world title in a men's relay event. Kebinatshipi points to Isaac Makwala, a three-time African champion who won Olympic relay bronze in Tokyo, as the man who shaped his belief. From a young age, Isaac has been my role model, he has said. That belief now runs through an entire nation's sprint program. Botswana has just 2.4 million people, yet it is producing some of the fastest quarter-milers alive today. His rise did not happen overnight. Back in 2022, his personal best over 400 meters sat at 45.20 seconds. In 2023, he won the African Under-18 and Under-20 title in 44.91 seconds. Every year, the times kept dropping, until Tokyo turned him into a world champion at just 21 years old. His 2026 season started the same way. He opened with a 100-meter time of 10.53 seconds in March, then ran 44.55 seconds over 400 meters later that month. By April, he was down to 9.89 seconds in the 100 meters, showing off pure speed most quarter-milers do not have. Before Eugene, there was Paris. On June 28, 2026, Kebinatshipi lined up at the meeting de Paris and ran 43.54 seconds, a new overall Diamond League record. It shatters the old mark of 43.60 seconds, set by Michael Norman in Eugene back in 2022. That run in Paris sat just 1/100th of a second off the personal best and national record he set winning his world title in Tokyo. South Africa's Zakithi Nene finished second in 43.89 seconds. American Chris Bailey ran a personal best of 44.06 seconds for third. Paris was his second Diamond League win of the year, after an earlier victory at the Xiamen meet in China back in May. Sandwiched between those two races, he had also anchored Botswana to victory in the 4x400-meter relay at the World Athletics Relays in his home country, running a scorching leg of 43.09 seconds in Gaborone. Every result pointed in the same direction. Kebinatshipi was not just winning. He was getting faster every single time out. The Prefontaine Classic on July 4th brought a different kind of test. This was one of the deepest 400-meter fields assembled anywhere in the world all year. Rai Benjamin lined up in that field. Benjamin is the reigning Olympic champion in the 400-meter hurdles, a race he won at the Paris Games in 2024 in 46.46 seconds. He is the second fastest hurdler in history. But at Hayward Field, he stepped away from the hurdles completely to test his raw speed over the flat 400 meters. Michael Norman also towed the line. Norman won the world title over 400 meters at that very stadium back in 2022, and this race marked his first Diamond League 400 meters in nearly 2 years. Jakery Patterson, the defending Diamond League 400-meter series champion from the previous season, also entered, alongside Chris Bailey, Vernon Norwood, Chris Robinson, and Caleb McRae. On paper, it was arguably the strongest one-lap field the meet had seen in years. Bailey in particular had been climbing all season. He had already run a personal best of 44.06 seconds behind Kebinatshipi in Paris just 1 week earlier, and he arrived in Eugene looking to prove that result was not a fluke. The gun fired, and Rai Benjamin, running out of lane 9, exploded through the turn. Coming off the bend, he held a clear lead. Kebinatshipi did not panic. Running from the outside, he could see Benjamin ahead of him through the final bend. He held his form, stayed patient, and waited for the straightaway. Then, with 50 meters left, he found another gear. He closed the gap with every stride. Benjamin, feeling him arrive, fought back and refused to fold. But Kebinatshipi caught him right at the line. The final time read 44.00 seconds for Kebinatshipi. Benjamin crossed in 44.11 seconds, a personal best, but not enough to hold on. Chris Bailey took third in 44.58 seconds. Jackery Patterson and Chris Robinson tied for fourth in 44.88 seconds. Colin McRae finished sixth in 44.91. Vernon Norwood seventh in 44.92. Michael Norman, in his return to Diamond League 1 lap racing, finished ninth in 45.47 seconds, well off his best form. It was not Kebinatshipi's fastest time of the season. It was not close to his run in Paris. Paris showed the world what Kebinatshipi looks like when nothing stands in his way, a smooth, controlled run straight to a meeting record. Eugene showed something else entirely. It showed what happens when an Olympic champion gets right on his shoulder and refuses to back down. Benjamin came within 11/100ths of a second of pulling off one of the biggest upsets of the outdoor season, and he did it as a guest in a sprinter's race, using more raw speed than most people had given him credit for. Kebinatshipi's answer mattered. A season built only on fast times in clean, uncontested races is one kind of dominance. A season that also includes grinding out a win with someone breathing down your neck is a different kind entirely. Eugene gave him both versions in the space of 1 week. The win also stretched his 2026 Diamond League 400-meter record to 3 races and 3 victories. Xiamen in May, Paris in June, and now Eugene in July. Busang Collen Kebinatshipi's 44-point-second victory in Eugene keeps his 2026 Diamond League record perfect, but it serves as a reality check. While he remains unbeaten, he finished well off his 43.53 national record, winning by a narrow 11/100th margin against a surging Rai Benjamin. The men's 400 meters field is increasingly crowded, with hurdlers and rising stars like Bailey shrinking the gap that once seemed insurmountable. Even former world champion Michael Norman's 9th-place finish highlights just how unforgiving this event has become. Rhythm is fragile, and the top spot is never guaranteed. Kebinatshipi leaves Hayward Field with his win streak intact, but the competition is closing in. With the inaugural World Athletics Ultimate Championship in Budapest looming this September, the stakes shift from maintaining a record to defending a title. With Benjamin, Norman, and Patterson all hungry for redemption, Eugene proved that the distance between the reigning champion and the field is razor-thin. Heading into Budapest, the question is no longer whether Kebinatshipi can win, but whether he can hold off a field that is finally catching up.